You could
What?
pop out the Discord chat, the
Dude,
video window.
Discord is
What?
the only way to do video chats from here. It's so good. It's so good. And get this, dude. I don't have it set up yet, but in the Games for Everyone server, we have a bot called Craig. And
Oh, I
Craig,
like this already.
all you have to do is invite him in, and he automatically records the audio. But not just that, he records everyone's local audio in FLAC, WAVE, etc. And if you want, when the session is all done, he will give you a handy dandy Audacity project link for all of those uncompressed local audio sources.
This is incredible. Literally everyone who's ever wanted to make content ever needs this.
I geeked out so hard when Yerko told me about that.
Jason, you'll like that.
Hey, it's Edex.
Nice.
It's Edex UI.
Dude, I actually love using that thing.
It's surprisingly useful. I mean,
it is.
I wouldn't have it on a primary, like I'd have it on a secondary monitor, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's next time you make sure next time you don't actually record the typing of your password.
Oh yeah, so that was pointed out to me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but luckily it's just a password that I use for testing Linux distros because it's just like super easy and yeah. Hey everybody, welcome back to Linux for Everyone and welcome home. And welcome to our special guest, if you want to call him a guest. He's more of a nemesis or something. He's
welcome to our guest,
the enabler, Matt DLN, the enabler of people spending money on things because he says it's great, and that's what I do too. So you are watching and or listening to Linux Plus Coffee, cup number 4. It is finally your 4th cup of Linux Plus Coffee, and I'm really happy to have both of you guys along for the ride this time. How you guys doing?
We're alive. Well, I pressed the strong button on my coffee maker. I don't know what it does, but I'm hoping it works because
the strong button. Everything should have a strong button, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm making toast in the morning. Strong
toast.
I don't know.
They have microwaves with chaos defrost mode, and I really want one. I don't know what it does, but it says chaos defrost. It's so good.
Wow.
Does that actually install chaos on the microwave?
Oh no. That would be cool.
Is that like a D&D reference? Like is it chaotic neutral defrost mode or chaotic good or Here's the deal, guys. We're all, I don't know about Matt. I think Matt is well through his day, but Schykle and I have just pretty much woken up. Yeah. And we have a very loose outline for this episode, and I am of the mind that conversations are better when they are completely unscripted. And we have a single tweet guiding this episode of Linux Plus Coffee, and here's the tweet. I asked you guys on Twitter at Linux4Everyone. Know what time it is? It's time to record a new episode of Linux Plus Coffee with Schykle and Matt DLN. What should we talk about? What's on your mind? And Jason_TechStuff said this: how Linux is for everyone. Kind of appropriate. But here's what he says. It's important, actually. How Linux is for everyone. It's no longer Linux for geeks. How we need to get away from this negative us versus them mindset. Or Irish coffee. What grog do you like in or with your cuppa? So, okay. We can talk about that. So what adult beverages do we like inside of our coffee? And then we'll get to more serious stuff. Matt?
80 proof or higher. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Whiskey, I'm assuming?
80 proof or higher. Doesn't matter.
Wow. That's the way to do it.
Wow. Schykle?
For me, it's chocolate syrup. I like chocolate syrup a lot.
Chocolate syrup? That's not really an adult beverage, but I'll take it. I'll accept it. What about have you tried my favorite thing to put in coffee, which is Bailey's Irish Cream?
I've heard good things about that. It smells nice.
Try.
really
Okay,
good.
so if you're like, I don't know if you drink or not. If not, that's totally
Oh
fine.
yeah, I can't either.
But try like a chocolate liqueur sometime and a little bit of half and half. That'll blow your mind. Anyway, my mug of choice for this episode, it's Freddy.
Oh yes,
It's Freddy. And
My
inside,
goodness.
I think that my camera's going to be flipped, so oh well. But inside it says, it's a cup of magic.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Matt.
went with an Airspace Museum cup, and it's almost empty, and so I question my choices now. But it was good while it lasted.
Well,
It was a good
Question. I question whatever the hell I'm drinking.
Well, you're drinking Rockstar. What is
Rockstar-
it like? Some
Rockstar whipped strawberry blended.
I'm sorry. Can you say whipped again?
Whipped.
Whipped. Whipped cream.
Whipped.
I have a little bit of housekeeping. Let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way because I'm kind of excited about this, actually. I've been spending a lot of time in my car. And I've been doing that because I've been taking my stepson to school and picking him up every day. And I thought, what can I do to really maximize my time in the car? Because I spend about an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon in the car. And I have been catching up on podcasts, so like DLN Extend and the Kind of Funny Gamescast, and just as many podcasts as I can cram in there and rocking out to some music. But then I thought, I'm going to do a car cast. So the CarCast is a patron exclusive podcast hosted by yours truly in his car, where I talk about whatever's on my mind, give you kind of a maybe behind the scenes peeks at what's happening in Linux for Everyone land, musings, mental doodles, and then at the end, I'll throw in one of my favorite songs, like a song that has been inspiring me or that's relevant to me at the moment, because it's a private RSS feed. When you are a patron of Linux for Everyone, you get a private RSS feed, and so I don't really have to worry about copyrights or anything, and I can just make it super personal and super spur of the moment. So the CarCast, one of the perks of being a patron. And I want to give a special shout out to Musical Coder, a special shout out to all of our super fans and all the people who believe in what's happening here and supporting us. Thank you. And Schykle, you're going to be doing some more stuff on the channel.
I am going to be doing stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I've got a few things planned. There's like a browser sort of thing. Wow, language is hard. Have you ever tried to speak and it just doesn't?
I have. I tried to speak today in the car, and I realized how difficult it was to do like a one take podcast, right? Without
I'm normally great at it, but
without long pauses, without saying every 10 seconds. It's I've seen your unedited videos, and I can attest to the fact that you're much better at it than I am. Well, what have you guys been up to this week? Let's start there.
I've been doing a couple of things. I've been trying to set up my room, like a little studio in my room, so I can be recording in there instead of out here in like the family room, which is why I've got these lovely little antique drapes. And
That's okay. Please don't get rid of those, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking not having them behind me, but like having them folded up at like the back of the camera thing is like part of a set, which would be kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm totally fine with because I only use my room for sleeping anyway, so I can do whatever I want in there. But I got a capture card because I want to record more stuff. But I didn't actually research how it worked before I did it. And so I'm still figuring it out.
Where do you plug it? Do you know what to plug it into, at least?
Well, I thought it was HDMI, but there's two HDMI ports, and if I plug the one into the monitor, it just goes to the monitor anyway, so I have to like then plug a USB into itself. Yeah, I honestly didn't research this at all, but I'm sure I will figure it out at some point. See, what I was kind of thinking it would do is that if I plugged the USB into the computer and like I could just control it there, this would do like the recording and then just dump the file on the computer.
Okay, well, there are devices that do that though, that have onboard. In fact, one sec. I've got this guy. Were you just talking about this? Yeah, it's the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable 2 Plus with 4K pass-through, and it's very, very handy. I haven't actually used it to its full capacity yet, but it
this is awkward.
It has the same
I had one of those.
Oh, did you? Oh,
I didn't know how to use it. I plugged an SD card in, and I couldn't figure out how to get it to record.
I have not been able to get that to work in Linux yet.
I haven't either. That's what threw me way off.
And it's weird, right? Because I bought this because it doesn't actually, it's plug and play. It doesn't require any specialized drivers. There is software for it on Windows, but it's not required if you want to just do like your basic, okay, I want to record something through my Switch to the PC, or I want to record like my ThinkPad BIOS, which is originally what I got this for, was recording, BIOS and stuff that happens before the graphics shell kicks in. But it's nice. This is a 4K pass-through, so you can still play like this might be handy for when the next gen consoles come out. And you've got a 4K monitor TV, and you want to play at that resolution, but only record it 1080p. So yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
Okay, well, I will start doing research at some point in my life, but not today. But it's cool. It's pretty. It's sleek. It kind of reminds me of like a big like mouse. It's good. It's good. I struggle, but I'm sure I'll find something to do with it eventually.
Matt, what have you been up to, man?
Oh dear Lord, I have been trying to catch up on my collection of shame back here.
Good luck. # project backlog.
Well, yeah, the problem is behind all those PS4 games is an entire run of PS3 games that still need to be played.
Oh my God. All right. So how you doing? Like, what are you playing? What are you working through?
Right now, I'm working through Dark Rose Valkyrie, which is like a typical like JRPG. Nothing too spectacular there, just very run.
No, you play JRPGs?
No, not at all.
I'm sorry.
Kind of like I don't like Cyberpunk at all.
No. Let's get a card up there, Jason. Let's get a card up there to Matt's top 5 Cyberpunk game recommendations to play before Cyberpunk 2077. Boom.
So I've been playing that. I finally actually decided to pick up the new Final Fantasy remake, so I got that coming the next couple of days. And yeah, pretty much. Been messing around with Cody for the first time in a long time. So
nice. On what? Just on your PC or?
Well, see, Jason, remember that picture that I sent you of the weird computer? This is the 21. This is the 21.9.
Let's see the monitor. Open it up. Let's see the monitor. Let's see the actual not monitor. Let's see the display.
Same thing.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
That is definitely ultra wide. That's really cool.
21.9. I think it's 1792 by 768 on a 14:4 screen.
Ooh.
Yeah. Actually, I bought it for the speakers because they're Harman Kardon, like really good.
Okay.
They're really good speakers. Actually, that's the only reason I bought it. But I'm using this as an HTPC, so I'm trying
nice
Kodi and some of the different stuff for it because it has the HDMI output, but with the good speakers, so that helps with like the viewing experience and stuff. So Kodi's come a long way since its last use for me as an HTPC. So I'm liking it so far, and that's been, then I got like other projects like the Pine Foam that I'm messing around with and that kind of stuff. So been a fun week.
Well, I have been neck deep in this.
Oh,
I dislike you on so many levels right now.
This is let me see if I can get this right. The Asus Republic of Gamers Strix GTX 3080 OC.
Oh Lord.
So this is basically the RTX 3080 on steroids. It's overclocked. It has an absolutely massive cooling solution on it. Let me show you how big this card is, okay? So I'm going to stack my RTX 2080 Founders Edition on top of this. And look at the, in fact, wait. This isn't even accurate because maybe I'll just take some photos, but this gives you a good impression of how deep and long and thick. This is a chunk-tastic graphics card. Look at that. Look at that.
What happened to making things more efficient and like...
That's the thing, though. I don't know what it is about this new gen of graphics cards. I mean, we've got RDNA 2 coming from AMD, and we have Ampere from NVIDIA. And yes, NVIDIA's typically known for being very, very power efficient, right?
Yeah.
But there's something about this new architecture that I don't know. I mean, look at the... Have you ever seen 3 8-pins on a graphics card?
I don't even have a power supply for that. Like, I would need to get one and just hook it up next to my computer just to do that.
My arm was like starting to shake because I was holding this up with one hand.
That thing is crazy. It's like they took away all of those things where they were like, we can fit more power in the same package and you don't have to get a new case. And they were like, nah, who cares? We'll just go buy a new house to fit this thing in because it's so big.
Yeah, the thing is, it is fairly efficient for the performance that you're getting out of it. And I cannot get this thing, for those of you who follow like graphics cards closely, this will mean a lot to you. I did a GPU stress test with this RTX 3080 from Asus by running Furmark at 4K with 8x MSAA activated for 10 minutes. Okay, so and Furmark it like destroys graphics cards.
Furmark is stupid. It's really
Furmark at 4K for 10 minutes. This thing did not get any hotter than 62 Celsius.
Wow.
62.
What?
62. Yeah. The 2080 Founders Edition gets up to like 72, 75. I mean, the AMD's RX 5700 and 5700 XT will get up to like in the 80s and low 90s Celsius.
Jesus.
So I'm impressed. And all I'll say about it, I'll have a review at Forbes for this shortly. And then I'll be testing it on Linux as well. But there is not a single game in existence that I tested that this card does not get 4K 60 frames per second on ultra settings. So this is insane. Finally the 4K card that we've been promised for like 3 generations. This is actually the card now, finally.
I thought we were kind of peaking. I was like, wow, this is cool. And, SLI and stuff. But no, I was wrong. I was very wrong. There's...
we haven't even this is worthless at 1080p, right? You're not going to get that much better performance at 1080p because diminishing returns for that much power. Yeah. But when you're talking about 4K performance, it is anywhere from 50 to 72% more performant than a 2080 Super at 4K. Yeah, I'm impressed. I mean, it's still a huge chunk of change to spend, but if you are after no compromise 4K gaming, and you can actually find a 3080 in stock, then I would strongly recommend the Asus ROG version. Anyway,
if we can somehow get our hands on I don't know if you saw the G9 Odyssey, which is like the step up from our current monitor. It's the 5K version at like 240 hertz. Now they I think they recalled it, but there are units out there.
It was on fire, so they recalled it. But it's
fast.
Awesome.
Yeah,
no, it's too many hertz. Too many hertz.
3090 running at the same time. Could you imagine? It would be the perfect card for that.
Let's talk about the Linux community.
Oh boy. So we sound like we're worried. Okay, we love you guys. We don't dislike you. But I think we can all agree that we've been through some stressful times one way or another in in the Linux community, and there were some common things that we probably come across. And one of the frequent themes is a sort of tribalistic or a sort of maybe nationalist isn't the right word, but it really feels that way sometimes, where it's just like you are part of one group and it's the
Tribalism.
only acceptable group. Is that tribalism?
Yeah, that's tribalism,
All
if
right.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just feels like people are more willing to let innovation die to protect their own preferences than to let people have cool stuff, man. And it's so sad. I just want cool stuff.
Yeah. So as an example, like you get a lot of the canonical stuff that crops up in the community. I'm just using this as an example. You know, people talk about, oh, canonical just has like this not invented here mentality and all this other stuff, or they snaps are bad, or why'd they kill off Unity and all, you know,
or I see like, oh, they're taking ownership of all the GNOME developments and innovation that happens, and just bad. Yeah.
And it's just like everything they get ragged on so constantly. And it's like, how do you stay positive in the face of that all the time? And you can't. And it makes it hard to want to engage with that kind of group. It really does. And you know, insert company here, Red Hat, you know, whatever opens, you know, and I don't understand it, because every time, you know, like people will talk about the snaps, oh, it's closed source store backend, and like they give examples of why they haven't open sourced it. You know, we open source Launchpad, nobody used it, and they went through tremendous cost to open source that. Yes, guys, stuff does cost money.
Yep.
In fact, I'm gonna hopefully remind myself to add another card to my interview with Alan Pope, aka Popey, where he talked at length about exactly why the Snap Store has not been open sourced yet. So,
well, Schykle, like, you know, you did a full system that was all Flatpak.
Yeah.
And then you went and did a full system that was all snaps.
Because I wasn't worried about which one was like the only acceptable option. I just wanted to try it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's a difference between constructive criticisms about a technology. You know, snaps, okay, they don't respect theming a lot of the times. They respect it more in KDE than they do GNOME, whatever. They're working on that. Flatpak has the same issue, but no one wants to point that out.
Yep.
You have to, like, what's the base of a Flatpak? It's like 1.9 gigs or something the first time you pull down Flatpak. Like, it's absurd. Yeah. Like, but these are technical choices. These are technical problems. By all means, point them out. But it's not. I'm sorry, Jason, if this goes on a little bit of a tangent, but this isn't a religion.
Okay. Yeah.
No, perfectly okay. Perfectly okay.
This is technical choices that people make. I fall into the line of PC stands for personal computing. That means a person chooses their personal computing platform. You should not shame them, beat them up, or call them dumb, stupid, you know, RTFM and all the other stupid stuff that happens in the community at times. Mm-hmm. That is not your place. Your place is to show them the options. Show them that options they might not have thought about. That's why I like things like, Jason, when you do like the app spotlights and all that kind of stuff, where it's like, you know, and I'm down in the weeds looking at apps usually. Like, I'll be the first to admit that. But the technical choices that companies make, and like this tribalism about, like, it just gets so far away removed from the technical limitations of something, and becomes a dirty, ugly, my choice is the only choice, and you didn't make the right choice, so therefore you're wrong.
That right there
Yep.
is what wears me down so much when I see it. Is we're all in this together, and we are all embracing Linux. A lot of those reasons are the same. We share those reasons. respects your privacy. It lets you make your PC personal again, right? More customization, better updates. Take your pick. So we all are rallying behind many of the same fundamentals and philosophies and principles and whatever you want to call those. But it's when people make a decision and they choose something, and instead of someone supporting them for that and maybe pointing out like, oh, that's cool that you chose Arch, but I prefer Ubuntu because of this. That kind of discourse is just fine. It's when the people come in and they're like, oh, Arch never breaks, and they're being all sarcastic, and they're saying like, Arch users are this kind of people and Ubuntu users are this kind of people, and you're wrong for choosing this. And it's just, why do we do that? And when people outside of the Linux community see that happening in a Discord group or a Telegram group or on Twitter or on Facebook or in a podcast or wherever, why on earth would they want to associate themselves with that community if that's what they're seeing? And a lot of my frustration recently, and if you guys listen to episode 43 of the Linux for Everyone podcast, you know exactly where I'm coming from, has been this overload of toxicity, negativity, tribalism, gatekeeping, and I don't know. I don't want to feel like my only options are growing a thicker skin or learning to ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, like Schykle, you're really good at dealing with that head on.
Yeah, and I think, I think I have special preparations for this type of thing because I've struggled with, as I see Matt over there grinning. So I've personally struggled with some mental disabilities since I was a kid. You know, I've been seeing therapists since I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've become more and more good at analyzing situations and understanding why people act the way they do sometimes, and understanding how that impacts others. And so after seeing it, and because I've been only in the Linux community for 5 years, and it's mostly been in smaller groups. I admin a lot of groups for some reason. I'm an admin, I don't know, but you kind of get in the habit of noticing patterns where people come in with a certain type of behavior, and you know exactly what they're going to do. You know that they're not interested in being productive. They're interested in asserting basically their dominance in whatever preference it is they have. And
yeah, Matt's laughing because we see it. We see it all the time.
Every time you know right off the bat, you're like, this person is here to mess things up, and they're not here to be happy people who maybe want to help others or just want to share interests with people. No, they are here because everyone else is wrong and they are right. I love as much as anyone else to tell people I'm right. Okay, I get it. It's fun to be right. I get it. But it's not worth tearing other people down over, and it's certainly not relevant at all when it comes to personal choices. When it comes to what works for the other person, that's not up to you to define.
There's maybe a situation where maybe someone is choosing that particular thing because they think it fits their workflow, or their life choices, or just doesn't matter. Because maybe they missed out on something. Maybe there is something else out there, some piece of software, some distro, whatever, that could better accommodate what they want to accomplish. And maybe they're not aware of it, but there are many better ways to educate them and teach them that than attacking them and saying, like, you made the wrong choice. You're stupid. You're part of the problem. And don't even get me started on people who, like, the second that Microsoft enters a message, like the second that anybody mentions Edge on Linux or Microsoft Teams or the word Microsoft in a chat, it's instantly like, oh, Microsoft's evil and embrace, extinguish, and like
spyware.
spyware. Somebody said that Edge, the new Edge for Linux, is spyware, and that happened in our Telegram group. And why? And then when confronted, the person I don't think ever responded. So do you have proof of that? Well, of course they never responded. But why? Why can't we get past these decades old impressions of companies? Why is that mentality still there?
People. So unfortunately, having used Linux for probably longer than everybody here currently.
That's true. Combined, probably.
It's not a slag. It's Schykle. You have much more intimate knowledge about the more inner workings than I do, because I'm literally pointy clicky. That's how I fix. But as far as the Microsoft thing, like, I get where the community is coming from. Like those particular people, they are looking at it from a past history. I understand that, but they also have to understand this is not the Microsoft, like specifically related to Microsoft. This is not the Microsoft from 2001 when they said Linux is a cancer that attaches itself to IP. This is not the Steve Ballmer throwing cherries at the mention of Google. This is Satya Nadella, who has been much more open source friendly. Now, you can question their motives, that it's all business and all the other stuff. Well, newsflash, it's all business for Red Hat. It's all business for Canonical. These are contributions to the community, yes, that we benefit from. But at the end of the day, these guys are looking at it from a bottom dollar. And I'm okay with that. But the community has to get around this concept that a lot of the stuff that these companies do aren't the primary focus as far as the desktop portion. Now, I'll give Microsoft credit. They released a interview for Microsoft Edge on Linux recently.
Did they?
A couple of days ago, where they specifically talk about Edge on Linux. And they talk about, they do the typical web dev, all that kind of stuff. But they also talk about the desktop Linux users and how they want to give them a first-class browser. Now, the whole debate about it's spyware, any proprietary thing that if you say it phones home, take your pick of what the EULA you're agreeing to says, then it's potentially spyware, depending on how deep you want to run to that. Sorry.
I'm just raising my hand because I didn't want to because you got a great flow going and I didn't want to interrupt that. I just want to say, folks, please do not confuse spyware with telemetry. Like, don't confuse spyware and telemetry, right? Giving Microsoft your basic system specs or the resolution that you're using Edge on is not spyware. It helps the developers craft a better experience.
And anyone who makes that claim, like, they don't realize by visiting a website, they're giving more than that information anyway. If anyone knew what kind of information a website could extract, they know exactly how you move your mouse every second you're there. They know your typing patterns. They know everything about you as soon as you're there. You give more to any website you visit just by being there for a few seconds than you do with basic telemetry.
I get what you're saying, Schykle. Now, if you want to look at some of the stuff, like if you're looking at the Windows 10 EULA as opposed to maybe the Edge EULA,
that's intense.
There is a world of difference. Microsoft's approach to the Edge rollout on Windows has been abysmal, terrible. Here's a
and that's probably where all the negativity and bad blood is coming from because I mean. And they recently, so they had that whole like full screen Edge takeover on Windows 10. I recently got that on my Windows machine and it was just like, no, get me out of here. I'm busy. I want to do stuff. And then there are other, more recently, they had a Windows update that I guess forced, well, let's not do air fingers, that forced web shortcuts to Office 365 to be installed on the start menu or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was an article that I read that said, Microsoft installs such and such to Windows without users' permission. And I was like, no, you gave them your permission when you installed Windows, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to accept that responsibility. Like, the blame is on you, and we have to accept the fact that the EULA states that we give Microsoft permission to do whatever they want with our PC in very broad, vague strokes. So, I still use Windows, and I accept that. But we can't go out and say, like, you did this without my permission. No, they didn't. They did it with your permission.
And you didn't read the thing? That's on you.
I mean, I know it's... You know what? I played... I think it was the... this is insane, okay? I installed the Call of Duty... What is it? Call of Duty...
Cold War.
Cold
beta.
War, yeah. The Black Ops Cold War beta on PlayStation 4. And first, there was a, like, privacy agreement or something. Activision privacy agreement. It was 43 pages.
Oh.
After that, there was another EULA that was like 47 pages. And I'm like, who in their right mind is going to... For a video game? Who in their right mind is going to read that? But also, what the heck is in that? Almost 100 pages of stuff I'm agreeing to.
Nobody's going to sit there and read 100 pages of legalese documentation. 99% of the population is not going to do it.
99.9%. Yeah.
There's going to be a few that do. Totally get that. But it's just like this weird thing with the community where it's like Linux users have older Linux users, let me restructure this statement, have a hard time of letting go.
Let me make a correction to that, or at least clarification to that. When you say older, do you mean older in age or people who have been using it for a long time? Because I don't want to have like this ageism thing come into the into the picture or anything.
No, not ageism. Far from it. People who remember times prior.
Okay.
So like people.
We can say like veteran Linux users.
Yeah. So like the 15, 20, the people who remember those bad times from Microsoft.
Oh, certainly. Okay.
Yeah. So you can understand where they're coming from. And yeah, view it with a cautious eye. Totally get that. Be skeptical. But hold them to the actions they're doing now and not just on the past. And that's something that the community has a really hard time doing when I see like micro M money sign and micro other words that I can't use. Yep. And I am not a fan of Microsoft. I'll be the first to admit it. I use everything I possibly can not to be a Microsoft user. I give my stuff enough to every other company at this point. But it just Linux users just can't let go. It's like it's really kind of depressing at times, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm a hardcore Linux user, but like all my content production is done on Linux, just like most of everybody else's here is. And it really gets to me that, people can't respect the choices people make enough to be like, okay, you made that choice. Schykle, you've talked about GNOME. I am not a GNOME fan at all. You and I have had this conversation. It takes 20 extensions for me to make GNOME useful.
Oh, come on. It only takes 2. You're wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Well, see, like as an example, Schykle, you'll remember this when we were on Big Daddy Linux Live a lot. When we used to test GNOME distros, for the Ds, I would make the joke that features are bugs according to GNOME.
Yeah.
Because all you ever saw from the release notes for a long time was just stuff that was taken out, and it was I was doing it in a playful way.
Yeah.
But if somebody chose GNOME, I'm not gonna be like, "Why did you choose GNOME? It's a garbage desk." If it works for you, awesome. Not my choice. Doesn't work for me, but if it works for you, cool. Mm-hmm. And you respect the work that they do. And that it's just weird to me that people can't just let people make their decisions that they decide to, and respect people enough as people.
The weird thing about this tribalism mentality in Linux, I don't endorse this happening with like game consoles, for example, but I more understand why it happens with game consoles. Let me explain. the fanboyism that happens with, PlayStation versus Xbox, that is typically influenced by a financial decision that the gamer made, because many of us are not as privileged to have whatever consoles we want. It's, I'm buying an Xbox because all my friends have Xboxes, and that's all I can afford.
Yeah.
And I'm getting Game Pass and I'm getting Xbox Live, and that's where I've invested my time and my money. And so, to an extent, I mean, I understand why they will defend that ecosystem and that platform, and want to say that, they made the right choice and that it's the better thing. Why are we having that same mentality when it comes to something that is free and open source and auditable, and we have full control over things that we do not like about something, but especially the free part, the free as in free lunch part, free beer part.
So much of it we don't pay for, but still somehow act like we do, and it's
that's
amazing.
That's my point exactly. Like, why are we so, I will sit here and I'll tell you, and I'll make multiple videos about how I love Pop OS. But I'm also going to say how much I love Elementary and how much I love Ubuntu. And, I'm going to say that, look, I tried Arch. I tried the quote unquote real way to install Arch. And I did it on my third try, and it was a good learning experience, but I'll never do it again. But I'm not going to say that, like, you're an idiot for using Arch. If that works for you, awesome.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. I feel like maybe instead of trying to understand where the mentality comes from, because that might take a team of psychologists, how can we fix it in our communities? How can we address it and make it slowly go away? Is that possible?
I'm going to be really blunt.
Do it.
Novel idea. By shutting up the vocal minority that speaks the loudest. By having the sane users actually, and I don't want to say real users, because that insinuates that the other ones aren't real users, because they are. But the ones that are realistic, have a understanding that this is not good behavior. This is not a good reflection on the community. This is not a good reflection on your product, your projects, etc. The ones that should be speaking the loudest are not. The ones that should not be speaking are speaking the loudest.
Yeah,
man. And then you've got. Do I do this without naming names?
Oh, I already have names.
You know what? I'm gonna name names. I don't care. You have prominent Linux distributions. You have figureheads in the Linux world that a lot of people pay attention to, like Manjaro, that are frequently posting very angry and borderline hateful things about their own community or NVIDIA, or, and that's the example that's being set. And that has to stop, and that has to get called out, and that has to be silenced. Because how can we expect, lead by example, right? Here's a top tier Arch-based Linux distribution that has all kinds of partnerships and is recently formed its own company, and that's the example that's being set to the Arch community, the Linux community by extension, and that has to stop.
Yeah, and I recently recorded a little heart to heart, touching on a lot of these things, and it's one of those things that hits me a little hard, because I think I'm very willing to jump into the middle of the train tracks to try and stop it, and so I'm constantly
God
dealing
bless you,
with.
sir.
I am juggling trains on the daily, because that's just what I do, and it's nice that I tend to be in groups where I typically have some kind of influence where I can, like, nudge the people who are being really destructive out of the way without having to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also in some communities where, some people don't know, like, who I am. They're like, why would I even listen to this random guy? And so I just kind of like, I still jump in front of them and I'm like, hey, you know, your words matter. And like calling a certain type of users dumb because whatever is not sensible. It's just mean and stupid. Or that somebody who chooses to use, let's say, Telegram or WhatsApp is somehow not intelligent because they aren't, or what, they aren't aware of the risks, or they accept the risks. Like, it has nothing to do with a person being more or less intelligent. It has nothing to do with them being more or less worthy. It's just a choice that they made based on their needs or their perceptions. It's not something that you have to tear them down for. I know what that kind of behavior does to people, and I know how that discourages people from being a part of the conversation and
Well, dude, it
experiencing
almost
these
discouraged. I mean, it almost discouraged me. There was a point in there was a point a week or two ago where I wanted to leave my own Telegram group because that behavior was getting so rampant, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. But we have to deal with it. We really have to.
Yeah.
If you want to make a technical, look at something and say why you don't use it, that's fine. Keep the arguments to the point of like, this is why I don't use it. Here's why. And just move on. You can have a discussion without having the tribalism. This is technology. It's supposed to make things either fun, enable stuff. Instead, there are times that we shoot our own selves in our own foot because of this nonsense.
To the person who wants to have that argument, to the person who typically has that instinct to say you're wrong or that you made the wrong choice, instead of making a statement about it, ask a question, right? Ask, why did you choose that? What is it about this thing that you chose that you really like? Maybe like 1 out of 10 times, the person answering that question might make a difference in that person's opinion, right? Or at the very least, maybe we can hope that the person who would normally be engaging in that tribalism might learn something about either that other person or that distro or that software that they didn't know before. And asking a question, I feel like that is immediately less confrontational, right? And less argumentative. Trying to understand another person's point of view before you start that argument, trying to get their perspective. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, I think that willingness to be open to alternatives or be open to just hearing someone out makes a huge difference. And we don't have that often enough. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes I exhaust myself trying to explain this to people, but I'm not going to stop trying to explain it to people because it's important to me. And it matters to people who I've seen people just leave and not come back, and I don't want that to keep happening. It's not worth it.
No, it's really not. So the one thing I advocate for people who are switching to Linux, I'm going to actually advocate for the people who are in Linux. We talk about how Linux is not Windows. It's not Mac OS. Approach it with an open mind. Look at alternatives. Be willing. We talk about all of that. Here's the call to the community. Be willing and open to those differences when it comes to Linux too.
Yeah.
Be willing to understand that this person's different. You're gonna have to be willing to accept that they're different than you. And that's where people, I think, they just have this my way. And that's your way. Mm-hmm. But be open to other ways. Practice what you preach.
Walk the walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. I mean, I know that I can do better. Like personally, I know I can do better because, I feel like I need to be the person setting that example too. And, even when sometimes on Twitter, like I will call out Microsoft about certain things that they do that I think is crappy. And I think maybe my tone or my attitude could be better. It could be more positive. Like, it's just, it's hard work. It's hard work being constantly positive and shaping the community that you want to see, right? That's hard work. But
it really is. And I think we all have those days where we just kind of we snap at stuff, and I'll be the first to admit that. And it's just we're all human. We're all gonna do and say stupid things. We always do. But at the core of it, the combative, argumentative types are always going to be the combative, argumentative types. Doesn't matter how you phrase it, how you word it. Generically, that's just what they thrive on, and you're going to have that in every community. But for me, I think just that willingness and openness that we preach about so much about when people are coming over, that we have to be willing and open to those choices that those people are going to make and other people in the community are going to make. And that, I think, is that willingness and that openness will actually shape for a better community than this tribalism nonsense that we deal with now.
I think I'm putting my foot down at this point. Zero tolerance from now on, basically. Like if you're going to be an argumentative jerk to someone in this community, and you're going to be, tribalistic and toxic and hateful, you're gone. You're gone. If you leave a comment attacking someone, I'm going to remove it if I see it. Hopefully I will see it. But yeah, I mean, my first instinct is to try and change that behavior. But my backup option is just bye, Yep. So I hope it doesn't come to that. But it has sometimes. Yeah.
And I'll say as well, like, one of the things is that it's important to remember, and this is what I've started to realize, especially in the position of a content creator, when you have a community around you, it's not you. It's so easy to fit because you're responsible, right, for all the people around you. But the reality of it is, it's their problem. They're the ones who are causing issues because they can't accept the reality that not everybody has exactly the same needs as they do, and that not everybody is bound to the same exact ideals or restrictions or whatever. That's not you. It's not the other person. It's them. It's as simple as that. And so it's so easy to feel that pressure, but there's definitely a separation between them and, like a functional society where it's not about productivity.
I do want to end this on a positive note, but I have to ask this because it's been weighing on my mind. Do you feel like things are worse in this regard? Like what we're specifically talking about, the tribalism, the gatekeeping, the negativity. Do you feel like things are worse this year than before?
Oh, yeah.
Or am I just
so
ultra sensitive
stressed
to the COVID fatigue? Or is it actually the fact that this is a worldwide pandemic and it's affecting people in negative ways?
I think it's because it's a worldwide pandemic that's affecting people in negative ways because their interaction is basically this. It's taking a Zoom call, a Discord call, whatever. So their interactions face to face is a lot more limited, and all they see is a screen. So there's the lack of a human presence, really. Like
maybe even a little less sunlight in their lives. I mean, that makes a difference too. Yeah. So yeah, I like some sunlight. Well,
so yeah, definitely.
Well, I appreciate you guys having this conversation with me, and Jason, thank you for suggesting it. If you guys have suggestions on how to cultivate a better, more positive community, we are absolutely all ears to that. And, we're always open to suggestions and changes and whatever you guys have to say, as long as it's constructive and not hateful.
Yeah.
So let's change. Let's be the change that we want to see. And let's accept that, number one, we're all in this Linux thing together. We may have vastly different opinions and philosophies, but we are all in this together for the same core reasons, right? And number 2 is I forgot what number 2 was. So number 1's important though.
Yeah, it doesn't work without us. It's as simple as that, you know? It's the people around you that are making it happen. It's the people who are, developers are users too. They're also making this happen. It's not just like you're the only one who's like creating Linux or using Linux. If nobody else was using it, neither would you be. That's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's gonna do it for Linux.
We did it.
Plus coffee at number 4. Raise your glass and or Rockstar drink. Matt, tell the people where they can find you.
Depends what version of me you want.
Well, let's say the
let's
it's
go
up
with
to
the
you,
family
really.
friendly.
It's totally up to you.
Let's go with the family-friendly stuff. You can find me on the Destination Linux Network and listen to the show that I co-host with Wendy and Nate. We talk about a variety of topics as it relates to Linux. That is DLN Extend. That is roughly every week. We just released an episode with actually Jason on it. We were talking about affordable Linux hardware.
Yeah, that was a fun chat.
That really was a fun chat. Always good to have guest hosts on. So you can find me there, or you can find me on Twitter at MattDLN.
Awesome. Mr. Schykle, where can the people find you? You've got so much going on, man.
I do have a lot going on. I don't know what I've done to why I'm doing this or something, as they say. But I'm on Twitter at Schykle. I'm on Telegram at Schykle. I mean, I do make YouTube videos, but if you want to see me talk about stuff, you can look at me at Schykle, and I think my personal channel is Alan Diggs. So hey, variety. Not everything is Schykle. Yeah, that's how it's done.
Well, you'll always be Schykle to me, so you'll just have to accept that.
Heck yeah.
As for me, my personal Twitter is at KillYourFM, and as far as the Linux for Everyone community, all the links are at the bottom of this video or in the podcast show description. If you want to talk to an awesome community on Telegram or Discord or Mastodon or Twitter, you have that option. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. Fun chat.
We did stuff.
Sobering, but fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can work towards a better, brighter, more positive discourse when we're engaging with people that really share the same kind of passion that we do. They just share it differently. All right. On behalf of everyone here at Linux for Everyone,
stuff. It's stuff.
Do stuff and be stuff. Matt, you know what, Matt? You take us out.
Okay, this is not my show.
I don't care. You're a guest host. Do it.
I'm not alone.
Jason, there's going to be one thing you're really going to have to edit out right now.
Dang it. Make my job harder.
So with that, great conversation as always, and you guys know what to do. Be good to each other, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Good enough. All right, you guys.
Heck yeah.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Yay.
Look at that.